Hello friends, it's Amanda with the Whimsy Stamps YouTube channel. Today I've got this fun Valentine's card featuring some adorable images and some fun pops of red just in time for Valentine's Day. I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to get my background created because that is the main focus of this card, and I really like this style of card because you can definitely utilize it for any occasion, season, anything like that. Just swap out the greetings and the images and the colors, and you can definitely use it all year round. So I'm using some craft cardstock here, and I'm going to do some embossing in the background. I'm going to take the 4 large images from this stamp set. These little donkeys are just adorable. I love them so much. Donkeys are one of my favorite critters, and them celebrating Valentine's Day is just super sweet. So I wanted to use all of the images, and this was a really fun way to do that. This is another great way to kind of stretch your stamps and, get more use out of them instead of just coloring them, creating little scenes. You can do fun backgrounds. This is especially fun if you have a bunch of smaller accessory images with a large main image. You can definitely create something similar to this. And the really fun thing is that this is definitely a anytime card, like I mentioned earlier. You can definitely swap things out and make it for different sorts of occasions. So I'm just stamping this down with some embossing ink, and I'm going to use some white embossing powder on top. Now I am going to speed the video up just a little bit because this is a little bit repetitive. So I'm just going around, I'm adding my images, and I'm only doing a couple at a time just so I can get them nestled in as close as possible so that I fill up the entire card with the images. I don't want to leave any really big empty spaces, but I also don't want to crowd the images too much that you don't see the wonderful illustrations themselves. So again, I'm just kind of tucking them in here and there. Gonna use my embossing ink and then use the white embossing powder to coat all of the images. Once I have the last of my images coated here and I've got them all heat embossed, I'm going to go in and add a little bit of color. So the whole color scheme for my card is red, white, and craft. So I want to have these fun pops of red in the card. Now you could definitely color all of these images in and it would make for a really sweet background, but I wanted to just have some pops of red. So I'm going to go in with my colored pencils, and I'm only going to color in the little images where red would go. So the little heart balloon, the little rose, and different things like that. I'm going to put on a little bit of music while I color this, and when I'm all done, we'll come back and finish up the card together. Once I had that all finished, I am going to add a little bit of interest to the outside of my card. So I'm going to take some ground espresso distress oxide ink, and I'm just going to ink blend around the outside edge very lightly just to add a little bit of depth and dimension. And this is really great because all of my images were heat embossed, so the ink is going to resist on that. So it looks like the little donkey images are turning this brown color, but I'm going to go over it with a nice dry cloth and buff away that excess ink, and all of my little images will brighten back up to that beautiful white. And it just adds a little bit of interest to the background. Now I am going to add one more step to this. I'm kind of obsessed with the vintage script background from Whimsy. I just love this so much. It makes for wonderful backgrounds. It adds just a little bit of something, and with this card in particular, it just really shines. So I am going to stamp this down with that same ground espresso ink, and it is such a really nice, soft, subtle background. Really adds to it. It doesn't distract too much, and it really, I think, kind of rounds out the whole card. Really makes this a fun background. Now you could do this with any background stamps. There's so many out there, and Whimsy's got some really great ones, and I just think this is super fun. You can also do this with stencils too. Gonna buff away any of that excess ink, and then I'm going to adhere this to a piece of red cardstock to create a fun matte around the outside of this, again to pull in that pop of red that I'm going for. And then I'm going to set it off to the side to completely dry. I'm going to put it underneath something heavy just to help weigh it down while it dries, so that I don't get any lifting on the panel. Going to get that lined up here. And I just love this little card base. It is so cute. These little donkeys are just the sweetest. The one holding the rose I think is my favorite. So while that is drying, I'm going to work on my main greeting. So I am using the bold ABC die set, and I cut out LOVE out of some red cardstock, and then I also found some red shimmer cardstock in my stash. I'm not particularly sure what company this comes from, but it was just a scrap piece I had in my stash. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I just love the way that it looked, and I love the bright shimmery red color. Next, I'm going to do my secondary greeting, and this says, for my Valentine. This also comes from the same stamp set that the donkeys came from, and I'm going to stamp it down on black cardstock and white heat emboss it. It's really going to make it stand out against the background, but it's not going to be super distracting because it is such a small greeting, and I'm going to fussy cut it out with my scissors once I have it all heat embossed. This really makes for a fun way to kind of minimize the amount of cardstock that you use whenever you fussy cut out a greeting like this, because you're not having to use like a die, a big square die or something like that, which could be kind of distracting in my opinion. So I just like to fussy cut out these images and these fonts because I just think it looks a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors, and I'm going to cut that out, and now I have all of my elements ready to actually assemble my card. Once I have everything ready to go, I am going to get my card base, which is just a top folding A2 size standard card base. That is top folding. It's just my preferred way to make cards. You could easily do this as a side folding as well. Going to add some more of that liquid adhesive to my main panel and attach it to my card base. Now my card base was cut a little bit off skew, so off camera I did trim it down to be the proper size. And then I got out a square ruler here to help me get the love word nice and straight. I wanted to make sure it was really nice and even. And when I'm doing letters like this, I always start with the first and then the last so that I get a nice even space, as best as spacing that I can, so that everything looks nice and neat. Just using that same liquid adhesive, and with that dimension on the love letters, with the extra layers underneath, it really makes it pop, adds some fun dimension to the card even though it is inherently all one layer. You don't have to pop it up. You could even do a fun inlay, which would be neat. Die cut the love letter out of the background and kind of inlay it in amongst all of it if you wanted to go for more of a all one layer card. Once I have that all adhered down, I'm going to attach my secondary greeting with some foam tape just to pop it up so it's on the same level as the love word. Just going to add a little strip here at the bottom, and that other piece is going to kind of settle on top of where the V is at. And I just love this so much. I'm not really one for Valentine's Day. It's not my favorite holiday, but these last couple of cards I created for Valentine's Day really are my favorites. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a little bit of glitter and add some to the secondary greeting and to all of the red accents in the background. And that will finish up this card for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this fun Valentine's card featuring some amazing products from our design team. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at the Whimsy Stamp YouTube channel. All the supplies are listed and linked in the description below, and I thank you again for stopping by. We'll see you again soon.